You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of the Niner gang is having a fantastic week. Coming your way on today's show, week 2 of NFL free agency, we're going to take a look at the top free agents who are currently available. Now, we're recording this during our live show on Tuesday, so if a signing happens momentarily, of course, this list will be updated. But as of right now, the top free agents available on the open market. Now, kind of listing these players in terms of significance, player value, and talent level. Terron Armstead, not a player I believe the 49ers are going to sign for a couple of reasons. Way too expensive, way too injury prone, and we've seen throughout this free agency period, they have really marked guys on their list who are younger and more affordable, but Armstead, when he's right, can certainly play. A player who I would certainly be intrigued by is Jadeveon Clowney. Everybody wants to look at the sack numbers. I don't really look at the sack numbers all the time. It's like wins for a pitcher. Doesn't tell the full story. But last year, Clowney had one of his best sack-producing seasons playing opposite of Myles Garrett. Could he flourish in San Francisco playing opposite of Nick Bosa? I think the answer to that question is yes. Now, is he a little bit older? No doubt. Could he be expensive? Yeah, maybe, but he could also be a nice little bargain chip as well. Might not sign with the team until later on in free agency. Odell Beckham Jr. looked to be done with the Cleveland Browns, or at least many of us thought. I think it was just Baker Mayfield. He was awesome for the Los Angeles Rams because the Rams brought back Allen Robinson, or signed him rather, and they traded away Robert Woods. Does that mean that OBJ is going to come back, or is he going to sign with another team? We'll see. Another really good weapon, though, on the outside who can also play the slot. Stephon Gilmore. A couple of rumors out there that the Niners have shown some interest in him because they've certainly been invested in cornerbacks throughout this free agency period. In his early 30s, yes, he's a little bit older, but he is coming off a Pro Bowl year. Stephon Gilmore would make the secondary stacked. I like the signing of Charvarius Ward. I'm not sure if I'm in the minority or the majority with that opinion, but when you're paying $14 million per year for a cornerback 2 who has cornerback 1 talent, who has a lot of upside, who's only 25 years old and trending in the right direction, top 5 in a lot of analytical categories, I think Charvarius Ward is going to be great. Now, the 49ers did lose K'Wan Williams to the Denver Broncos. 2-year, $7 million deal, $3.5 million average annual value. Does that open up an opportunity for Gilmore to come to San Francisco if they're willing to pay him? They might have to, because he might demand $10 to $15 million on about a 3-year deal. We're going to continue to break down this list of top available free agents. But first, which free agent do you want the Niners to sign? Let me know in the comments section. Still plenty of names out there as evidenced by this list. A player who I would really like, Tyrann Mathieu of the Kansas City Chiefs. Why do I like him? He can basically play any position on the defense outside of defensive tackle. What? He's so small. Yeah. He's played safety, both spots. He's played corner, outside, inside, and he can also rush the passer inside the box. Tyrann Mathieu is a heady defensive football player who is a game breaker and makes monster plays and has done so for a bunch of winning organizations. Him coming to the Bay, if you lose Jaquiski Tartt, would be an immediate upgrade. It'd also be an upgrade in terms of what you're paying him, but man, he is very, very good, even though he's 29. Bobby Wagner, there was some reported interest early when he was released by the Seattle Seahawks. It's kind of waned over time, coming off a 170 tackle season, so obviously he can still get the job done, and if you pair him alongside Fred Warner, it gives you Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis vibes, but for what he is going to get and demand on the open market, he might be too pricey, and I like what the Niners linebacking core did last year. I think it's one of the best in the NFL with Dre Greenlaw, Azeez Al-Shire, and the All-Pro Fred Warner. Trey Flowers, J.C. Tretter, Julio Jones. Trey Flowers, I don't think it makes a lot of sense as a scheme fit. J.C. Tretter, maybe if Alex Mack retires, but the expectation is that he returns to the Bay. Julio Jones. We know that Kyle Shanahan loves him. We'll talk about that here in just a few seconds. As for Tyrann Mathieu, he can do it all as I talked about. He's great in coverage. He's a great tackler. He can rush the passer. I love his football IQ. He's an absolute baller. Bobby Wagner is a fun idea. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense financially and with the players that you have on this team as you're bringing back Azeez Al-Shire, as you tendered him $4 million in the neighborhood of that is what you're paying him here in 2022. Julio Jones among that last group of 5 players. I think might be the most realistic option because Kyle Shanahan straight up loves himself some Julio Jones. He's always complimented him every step of the way when he's had an opportunity to do so, and the injury problems the last 2 years are certainly concerning. There's also been a dip in production. The injuries have increased, and the production has also gone down, but he'd be a great scheme fit. As that X-wide receiver outside, you allow Deebo Samuel to go to his more natural spot inside. Brandon Ayuk can play anywhere. So too can Deebo, by the way. George Kittle, I just am concerned with an older player whose production is certainly declining, but he would really fit well in this scheme if he can stay healthy. Now we're killing the game here on YouTube, approaching nearly 60,000 subs as the largest 49ers news and rumors channel on the entire internet. If you want free daily videos, the latest 49ers news and rumors, subscribe to the channel. It's youtube.com/49erstv, or even easier, just hit that red subscribe button down below. Now, not only is our analysis top-notch, we also have phenomenal deals for you. This vintage 49ers t-shirt on sale, limited time only, originally $40, now on sale for just $28. All you got to do, thanks to our friends at Fanatics, chatsports.com/49vintage for that deal to apply. Styles always return, so too do these vintage printed t-shirts. I'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. We're about a little bit halfway through this list. Melvin Ingram, I thought he actually played really good for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year as an edge rusher, certainly getting longer in the tooth on the back nine of his career. Antonio Brown, I think he's a Hall of Fame talent. I think he can still play, but I'm not willing to deal with all of the drama. Rob Gronkowski, I think he's going to go back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers upon that announcement of Tom Brady coming out of retirement because they are certainly just best friends and a really dynamic duo. Calais Campbell, yeah, I mean, the size is certainly intriguing, but as a scheme fit, I don't really think that makes a lot of sense. Derek Barnett, though, is a player that I do want to talk about. Now, as for tight end, the 49ers could use a backup tight end. And I've said this a lot about Kyle Shanahan's offense. I would not hate the idea of Kyle Shanahan experimenting with more 12 personnel, more 2 tight end sets. I think it makes the offense a little bit less predictable, especially if Trey Lance is the starting quarterback, because you already have that built-in advantage of the opposing defense not knowing if Trey Lance is going to run it and tuck it or if he's going to throw it. But also when you run that 12 personnel, you have better blocking with 2 tight ends, but also they can both run routes too. So a backup tight end for George Kittle, I think, is a big point of emphasis. Maybe that's something that the Niners address in the NFL draft with their bevy of picks. As for Derek Barnett, former first-round pick out of Tennessee, while with the Volunteers, broke Reggie White's sack record, which was a really impressive achievement. With the Philadelphia Eagles, he didn't live up to those lofty expectations, but high-effort player, high motor, really physical player, and has not really put together a lot of seasons with large sack numbers, but he has gotten after the quarterback, and I think playing opposite of Nick Bosa could allow him to really show some of those flashes of what made him a first-round pick with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't think he's going to be all that expensive. Now, the one thing to watch out for Derek Barnett, he has been flagged for a lot of personal misconduct penalties, but when you bring a player like this in with the high motor, who plays really hard, who does have a lot of pass rushing techniques and solid moves, and you line him up opposite of Nick Bosa, a player like that in this scheme, playing under DeMeco Ryans and the great developer of defensive linemen and defensive line coach Chris Kocurek, I think that he would be able to really impress a lot of people. I'm intrigued by the idea of bringing in Derek Barnett on a prove-it deal for San Francisco. Now, pick one if you had to sign one. Arden Key, Derek Barnett. Arden Key plays more defensive tackle after that positional switch, which allowed him to have 6.5 sacks last year. A key for Arden Key, DB for Derek Barnett. Embrace debate and pick one. All right, well, let's round out this list. Melvin Gordon does follow the 49ers on Instagram, but I don't think he's going to the Niners. I don't think the Niners are really wise to pay him all that much money. And at this point of his career, can he still run the football? There's no question about that. But the Niners have a youth movement at the running back position with Elijah Mitchell. And frankly, I want to see more from Trey Sermon. Daryl Williams, maybe has some tackle depth. Eric Fisher, the same can be said for him. If Mike McGlinchey is slowed by that torn quad and he can't come back, sooner rather than later. Maybe Fisher would make some sense, a former number 1 pick who had a bunch of great years with the Kansas City Chiefs. Justin Houston, I'm good. He's way too old for me. And then Jerry Hughes, somewhat of an intriguing player, no longer with the Buffalo Bills. The 49ers love to prioritize defensive linemen. I just don't think Jerry Hughes really fits that bill. Why? 49ers philosophy seems to be clear right now. So far in free agency, they have targeted younger, affordable talent, all upside signings, and they've had a big point of emphasis in the special teams unit, which ranked 26th in the National Football League this year. And I understand why a lot of fans are frustrated with the Niners' lack of moves, considering they were this close from making it to their second Super Bowl in 3 years. They were knocking on the doorstep of playing at SoFi once again in Super Bowl 56, and they do have some upgrades that need to be made on this roster. But you have to keep this in mind. Nick Bosa, Deebo Samuel, they are going to get lofty contract extensions, and John Lynch said it a couple of months ago right after that loss to the Rams in the NFC title game. Those two franchise pillars have been budgeted for, and the Niners are planning ahead, and we know with Parag running things financially, they always seem to be fiscally somewhat responsible, maybe even cheap at times, but those moves and acquisitions won't be cheap at all because Bosa and Deebo could both land historic contracts. Up to this point, how would you grade the 49ers offseason? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know in the comments section. I'd love to hear from the Niner faithful down below.